Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and this is Military Mind. Armed conflicts, defense and security, land, sea and air. We've got you covered. Now, overnight, into the 31st of July, Russian forces launched more than 250 strike drones at Ukraine. It was the second large-scale attack this week, following the massive bombardment on the 30th of July that left dozens of people dead and wounded across the country. Dnipro was among the primary targets of this latest attack, where 2 people were killed and 3 others were wounded. According to the head of the regional military administration, an industrial facility and several vehicles were damaged. Russian forces also struck a postal logistics terminal in the suburbs of Kharkiv, setting a cargo truck on fire. In the Kherson region, 4 people were killed and 5 others wounded in Russian attacks. President Volodymyr Zelensky also said that the strike on Radushne, which killed members of a large family, was carried out with a North Korean ballistic missile. He stressed that these reports are still preliminary, but said that current evidence points to a North Korean-made ballistic missile being used there. Now, across the border in Russia, a fire broke out at a Wildberries logistics facility in Volgograd following a Ukrainian drone attack. According to preliminary reports, none of the employees were wounded as a result. The governor of the Volgograd region said 5 people were wounded in Ukrainian drone attacks on the city and the surrounding region. Ukraine may also have targeted a Lukoil oil refinery during the overnight strikes. In Tatarstan, Ukrainian drones struck another Wildberries warehouse. Videos recorded by eyewitnesses show smoke rising near the facility. Ukrainian monitoring channels also circulated footage showing a drone exploding near an Ozone logistics warehouse. According to those reports, the Wildberries and Ozone logistics hubs are located within the same industrial complex. Now, on the front line, Russian offensive operations continue to intensify. At the same time, Ukrainian forward units have reportedly advanced into Plavny and toward Kamyansky. Ukrainian military analysts say Russian forces are trying to prevent Ukrainian advances towards Kamyansky on the banks of the Dnipro River, while attempting to outflank Orikhiv in preparation for a future assault. Ukrainian forces have also reportedly pushed Russian troops almost entirely out of Primorsk and are clearing the remaining small Russian groups from Stepnohirsk and the surrounding area. Moscow's troops, meanwhile, continue attempting to reach the high ground west of Orikhiv, but have so far only managed to infiltrate several small infantry groups. In addition, Ukrainian troops have reportedly almost completely cleared Mala Tokmachka, while Russian attempts to outflank this settlement have so far failed. A secure hideout behind enemy lines no longer guarantees the safety of the Russian troops. Russian forces have recently attempted to covertly concentrate a force consisting of several armored vehicles in one of the industrial hangars near the village of Tarasivka. But the Ukrainian Defense Forces made short work of those plans. Using a fiber-optic-controlled FPV drone, Ukrainian operators conducted reconnaissance right inside the facility and triggered a chain reaction of destruction. Inside the building, the Russians were preparing heavy armored vehicles for deployment on the front lines. Rather than wasting the drone on a single strike, the pilot recorded precise coordinates and relayed them up the chain of command, enabling the deployment of high-precision, high-power weapons. those vehicles inside there were really leaning into that Mad Max aesthetic with all the spikes and other protection. Against drones, that would have been quite successful. And the pilot of that particular FPV made a sound decision. He would have probably done little damage. Maybe he could have flown into one of those vehicles, blasted the insides of it out and basically disabled it. But the other vehicles would have remained intact. So he actually got the message through to the command, and as you've seen, the airstrike was much more successful, collapsing the hangar and most likely making all those vehicles there pretty useless, irreparable, or at least rather expensive to recover. Now, we're moving on to our next story. The skies over southern Ukraine were recently the scene of yet another flawlessly executed combat operation. Crews from the Ukrainian ground and air forces flying Mi-8 and Mi-24 helicopters carried out a veritable sweep of enemy drones, destroying 14 Shahed-136 and Gerbera type strike and decoy UAVs at once, using heavy fire from large caliber machine guns mounted aboard the helicopters. The footage captured their exceptional accuracy. Round after round struck the engines and control systems of the Russian UAVs. These drones won't be carrying out any combat missions anytime soon. Now, moving on, the Ukrainian Unmanned Systems Forces have carried out another massive and meticulous operation, dealing a devastating blow to the occupiers' strategic infrastructure and maritime logistics. In just one day, Ukrainian units reaped a truly bountiful haul, paralyzing key enemy defense and supply hubs in occupied Crimea and along maritime routes. The simultaneous neutralization of a base housing unmanned naval craft, 4 tankers, launch sites and 5 air defense units significantly undermines the combat capability of the Russian Federation's Black Sea Fleet and the logistical capacity of the occupying forces on the southern front. And with this, we conclude this episode of Military Mind. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news, updates and commentary.